China's absolute dominance in Asia is being threatened. The source of the threat might surprise you. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell, and I'm afraid YouTube is giving us a hard time again. Sobigo says, it's been ages since I saw any of your videos on my feed. The only reason I'm seeing this one is because I had to go into my active subscriptions and came across it by chance, as everything that was on my normal home feed didn't seem appealing to me. Hopefully me being here tells the algorithm to show me your stuff again. That was on an episode that didn't even top 100,000 views, on a channel with more than 2 million subscribers. Weird. You can help us by giving us an algorithm boost. Watch this episode to the very end and leave a comment with the honeypot emoji to show YouTube that we've got engagement and that we know why their fingers are so sticky. So, over the decades, China has invested an enormous amount of effort and money into modernizing its economy and its military. It's gotten to the point that in the Asia-Pacific region, it doesn't seem to have any real local competitor, like a giant, somehow more evil Walmart. But soon, it might, and that competitor would be India, the target to the great Walmart of China. Now you might be thinking, India? Really? How? But the thing is, China is a nation in serious decline, while India is on the rise. While China's economy has fallen into crisis, India is on the path to becoming one of the world's largest economies. It's appropriate their capital is New Delhi, because like a Delhi, they're making lots of cheddar. While the Chinese Communist Party faces a stagnating and increasingly graying population, India's population has surged to become the world's largest. It ain't no slouch when it comes to soft power either. Someday I will be on the Bollywood stage. But it's the military front that most worries the Chinese Communist Party. I'll get to that in a moment. But first, if you like this kind of deep dive into what's really going on in China, you've got to subscribe to my premium website, ChinaUncensored.tv. That's where you'll see episodes and live streams we can't put on YouTube. You'll also be able to chat directly with me and the rest of the team. So if you want to support China Uncensored, buying a membership on the website is the best way you can. It's just the price of a bag of coffee. Once again, that's ChinaUncensored.tv. So, I've got some bad news for China. The latest rankings from the World Directory of Modern Military Aircraft show that India's Air Force has overtaken China's. India's overtaking China in every conceivable metric outside of leaders that most look like silly old bears. Like China, India has been working for years to rapidly modernize its military. But unlike China, it isn't constantly bullying its neighbors. It seemed to do catch more flies with honey, and I doubt she would want to share any of his. Now, to be fair, some of these ranking systems only consider size. And, a lot of you guys will be happy to hear this, size isn't everything. But the WDMMA not only considers the quantity of aircraft, but also attack and defense capabilities, logistics, modernization, and operational training. You see, India's military has a diverse array of systems and weapons. And here's where things get really dicey for China. Because while China is trying to do everything pretty much by itself, India has military equipment from all sorts of places, including not only Russia, but also more technologically advanced countries like the US, Israel, and France. It's like a masala of military might. On top of that, India's military has that much underestimated X factor: experience. New Delhi and Islamabad have clashed several times since the 1947 partition, including earlier this year. And despite a few setbacks, the Indian Air Force actually performed pretty well, hence the new ranking. Meanwhile, the last time China fought a war was in 1979, when Vietnam defeated a PLA invasion. Oh, I thought China was a peaceful country that didn't invade its neighbors. But this edge in experience isn't the only thing making China nervous, because India's also been making some new friends. In fact, the US just signed a landmark decade-long defense deal with India. Basically, it allows for expanded intelligence sharing, technological cooperation, and military coordination, which probably means more joint military exercises between Washington and New Delhi, along with improving military interoperability and collaborating on defense research. India's defense minister says that this deal is a signal of our growing strategic convergence, and that it will herald a new decade of partnership. Earlier this year, President Trump also floated the idea of eventually selling the F-35 fighter jet to India, although for now, Prime Minister Modi has rejected the idea. But who knows what the future holds? And India isn't just getting close to the US militarily. There are also ongoing trade talks between the two countries. Keep in mind, India wasn't always so buddy-buddy with the West. During the Cold War, India was a leader of the so-called non-aligned movement, which preferred to stay out of the capitalist-communist competition, even if it may have leaned closer to Russia. They remained neutral like the Swiss, even if Swiss cheese tastes anything but neutral. And there are still some bumps in the relationship. Trump has vowed to keep quote-unquote massive tariffs on India until Russian oil imports cease. And India is a founding member of BRICS, so there's that. And of course, China is also engaged in talks to improve its relationship with India. And some of that is showing just how jittery the CCP is over India's growing network of powerful friends. It's like when the worst person you know suddenly starts acting nice to you. You don't think, they must have learned from the error of their ways. You think, ugh, what are they buttering me up for? For example, the CCP is seeking Indian assurances that no heavy rare earth minerals will be diverted from its own domestic uses to the US. And it looks like India may agree to that, although more to secure its own domestic needs than to please China. But if India agreed to this measure, what else will the CCP demand and hope to get from them in the future? On top of that, both countries have been negotiating for months over ending their border disputes, along with increasing trade ties, and have resumed direct flights for the first time in 5 years. And thank goodness, because even more than war, layovers are hell. Clearly, India is keeping its options open and trying to improve its ties with everyone, even while preparing for the worst-case scenario by strengthening its military. But the CCP is facing demographic and economic challenges, while many of its partners around the world are getting weaker and more isolated. I'm looking at you, Iran and Russia. China will keep trying to warm its relation with New Delhi and spoil India's outreach to democratic countries in the region and around the globe. But one thing it can't do is control India. And barring anything drastic, it doesn't look like the CCP will be able to halt its rise either. It can't be contained by the great Walmart of China. And remember, click this button here to check out my website, ChinaUncensored.tv, leave a honeypot emoji in the comments, and click here for another episode the algorithm chose just for you. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.